If you did one push-up more than yesterday, every single day, for a year, you'd be doing over 300 by the end of it. Nobody believes that on day one, because day one looks like nothing. That's exactly the problem, and exactly the opportunity almost everyone walks past without noticing. We chronically overestimate what a single big effort can do, and chronically underestimate what a small repeated one compounds into. That's not a minor miscalculation. It's the reason most people quit right before the results were about to become visible, and the reason a small number of people who kept going through the boring middle end up somewhere that looks, from the outside, like magic. Let's define what's actually happening, because the word consistency gets thrown around so often it's lost its meaning. Consistency isn't about doing something perfectly. It's about doing something at all, on the days you don't want to, especially on the days you don't want to, because those are the only days that actually separate you from everyone who quit. Anyone can be consistent when it's easy. The compound only builds on the days it's hard and you show up anyway. Here's the part that trips people up: consistency doesn't feel like progress while it's happening. Day 14 of anything looks almost identical to day 1. There's no dramatic before and after in the moment, just the same small action, repeated, with results too small to measure day to day. This is exactly why most people abandon the process right there, in the flat, invisible middle, convinced that nothing is working, when in reality everything is working exactly as slowly and quietly as it always does. Think about compound interest, because the metaphor isn't just convenient, it's mechanically identical. Money sitting in an account earning interest looks nearly flat for years. Then, seemingly out of nowhere, the curve bends upward fast, and the growth in the final years dwarfs everything that came before it combined. The early years weren't wasted. They were necessary, they built the base the later explosive growth had nowhere to happen without. Skills, relationships, health, reputation, they all compound on the exact same curve. Flat and invisible for a long time, then suddenly, unmistakably obvious. This explains something people misjudge constantly: they compare their day 30 results to someone else's day 1000 results, and conclude the approach isn't working for them specifically. It's not that it isn't working. It's that they're standing on a completely different point on the same curve, and the curve looks flat from anywhere near its beginning, no matter who's standing there. So here's the practical question worth sitting with: what's the smallest version of the thing you could do literally every day, even on your worst day, without exception? Not the ambitious version. The smallest version that's genuinely impossible to skip. 1 page instead of a chapter. 10 minutes instead of an hour. 1 outreach message instead of 10. The size matters far less than most people think. The unbroken chain matters far more than almost anyone accounts for. This is also why intensity is overrated compared to frequency. A brutal workout followed by 2 weeks of nothing produces less than a moderate workout done consistently for 2 months, even though the single brutal session felt more impressive in the moment. Your body, your brain, your skills, none of them care how impressive a single session looked. They only respond to what you repeated. Here's a mental shift that changes how this actually feels day to day: stop measuring today against the goal, and start measuring today against yesterday's chain. The goal is too far away to feel real most days, and measuring against it constantly just breeds discouragement. But, did I keep the chain going today, is answerable in seconds, and it's the only question that actually determines whether the compound effect gets to do its work at all. There will be a day, probably more than one, where you break the chain. That's not the end of the compound effect. The actual danger isn't missing one day. It's the story you tell yourself after missing one day. I already messed it up turns one missed day into a missed week, then a missed month, then quietly, an abandoned goal. The people who compound the furthest aren't the ones who never miss. They're the ones who treat a missed day as a single data point, not a verdict on who they are, and who simply resume the next day like nothing happened. 6 months from now, someone is going to look like they made a sudden leap, a body transformed, a business that took off, a skill that suddenly looks effortless. They didn't leap. They compounded, quietly, on days nobody was watching, long before anyone else could see it coming. The only difference between them and everyone who quit in the flat, boring middle is that they kept adding the small thing, on repeat, especially on the days it felt like it wasn't working. The math was working the entire time. It just doesn't show its work until the very end.